We have successfully placed complex machinery on the surface of Mars. We can map galaxies billions of light years away and capture light from the earliest moments of the cosmos. We have charted the deepest, darkest trenches of our oceans and built complex algorithms that mimic human intelligence. Yet, despite these outward achievements, we lack a clear picture of the very thing that invented them, the human mind. We have decoded much of the physical world around us, but we remain remarkably blind to the internal operating system that drives our own behavior. In our daily language, we often use brain and mind as synonyms. If someone asks you to point to your mind, you'll likely point to your head, to this physical, biological organ. But the brain is just the hardware. It is a tangible, physical organ that functions as a house for something much harder to see. The mind is the software, the invisible code. To understand why we do what we do, we need a map of this software, because without a blueprint, it's impossible to improve the performance of the machine. Dr. Thurman Fleet recognized this in 1934. He argued that focusing solely on physical symptoms was like polishing a car's paint while ignoring the broken engine under the hood. To create real change, he had to map the mind itself. He created a specific diagram to visualize this hierarchy, a massive upper circle representing the mind, connected to a tiny lower circle representing the body. This model suggests the body serves as a physical instrument, a tool that carries out the specific instructions provided by the massive mental sphere above it. If we look inside this map, the sphere is divided. The top half is the conscious mind. It uses 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, to gather data from the outside world. Yet this logical sector represents only 3% of our total mental capacity. This is where we store our degrees, our books, and our intellectual theories. It's where we weigh arguments and decide which information to accept or reject. We spend years training this logical 3%, but as we'll see, it has very little control over the ship's actual direction. The remaining 97% is the subconscious mind. This is the emotional mind, a non-stop powerhouse that controls everything from your heartbeat and digestion to your deepest habits, all without you ever having to think about them. This is why logical plans often fail. Your 3% conscious mind decides to wake up at 5 a.m. for the gym, but when the alarm goes off, the 97% emotional mind values comfort over logic. It hits snooze, and the habits of the subconscious win. Imagine the mind as a massive ship. The 3% conscious mind is the captain on the deck, holding the map and the binoculars. Below deck is the engine room, the subconscious. These workers can't see outside. They don't know where the ship is going. They simply follow the orders the captain speaks into the microphone. Because the engine room controls the propulsion, no amount of willpower from the captain will move the ship if the workers are following a different set of instructions. There is a specific vulnerability in this system. The engine room workers have no windows to the outside world. This means the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between what is happening and what is merely being imagined. It is designed to accept whatever information is handed down from the captain as absolute truth, without logic or debate. We see the power of this bypass in hypnosis. By putting the logical gatekeeper to sleep, a hypnotist speaks directly to the engine room. If a hypnotized person is told it is snowing in a 90-degree room, their subconscious accepts the statement. Their body will begin to shiver and develop goosebumps, triggered entirely by an internal command. This demonstrates that the subconscious mind triggers real, physical, biological responses based on the images it is given, regardless of the actual environment. This process shows how thoughts eventually translate into physical results. It functions like the transition from vapor to water. A thought begins as invisible vapor in the conscious mind. When that thought is combined with the strong emotion of the subconscious, it gains weight. It condenses, becoming the internal vibration that dictates how the body feels and prepares to act. Finally, those emotions drive the body into physical action. Just as water freezes into ice, these repeated actions eventually solidify into the tangible results and circumstances of our lives. In this hierarchy, the body is not the originator of action. It is the final stage of a process that begins with the energy of a single thought. This leads to a critical realization about the engine room that builds our lives. If the subconscious mind reacts to vivid imagination as if it were fact, what is the effect of spending every day vividly imagining failure, sickness, or worst-case scenarios? The engine room doesn't see these as fears to be avoided. It sees them as direct architectural orders, blueprints for the body to follow and the actions it should take. By leaving our imagination unmanaged, we may be inadvertently providing our own operating system with the exact instructions to create the very outcomes we are trying to avoid.